Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, and this evening I have a surprise. I have a friend that's co-hosting with me, pinch hitting for Kristin Hartnett. I just want to welcome Joanne Levy. Now, welcome, Joanne.
Why, thank you, Susette. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Joanne and I go back, and we're not going to say how long we go back, but if I co-chaired the art festival for 15 years, and Joanne and her husband Ken have been on the streets for that length of time and more, you know that we're really good friends. But Joanne, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
You and Ken, they volunteer at the Welcome Center for the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. But I want to tell you something. They have been street captains, and we have captains all along our streets, not only to help set up, but to help the artists and help the tourists that come through. Street captains are basically the core, as all of our volunteers for the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival. And I can tell you that Ken and Joanne have been there tried and true. And now, they're, I don't want to say retirement years because that just makes it sound like, we're still viable. We're not retired. We're just getting better. But your work and your volunteerism is just phenomenal. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart as a chair for so many years in the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, because you and Ken are just fantastic people.
Thank you. It's nice to be in Mystic full time so that we can take advantage of all the things that we tell people about.
Well, tell us a little bit about your history with the Mystic and Mystic Outdoor Festival and what you're doing now.
What we're doing now is we are, first of all, we've graduated from not only working events to working in the chamber itself in the new building, which is now a year and a half old.
Yes.
And we're there Wednesday mornings, you'll find us, and we're greeting people and helping people find their way, answering the phones, setting up programs, helping every person in the office with whatever it is that they need to be done. But the joy is really meeting the people and sending them on their way with a smile and having them want to come back to Mystic to see more and more.
So Joanne, I know you've, and I just want to touch base on, is there one particular tourist that has come in that's from a faraway place or that just really caught your interest?
There are several. We have people who come in with what they consider to be an emergency. I need a rental car. Where do I get a rental car? How do I get a rental car? We have that in Mystic. Yeah. We had one person a week ago come in and say, I need a sweatshirt. It has to say Mystic on it, but it can't have a hood. And I really don't want it to have a zipper. And it can't say Mystic Seaport because we already have Mystic Seaport. And I have to have it in 5 minutes. We gave her a few suggestions and hopefully she met her needs.
Right.
She was in a panic. And then there are people who come in and just want to buy tickets to an event or buy the Mystic Dollars, or now we have the Go Local program.
Yes. Yep.
And there are people who just want to sit down for a minute, catch their breath, and ask the question, I have 1 hour in Mystic, what should I do?
Right.
I have 2 hours. Or, where is Mystic Pizza? Or
everybody always asks where Mystic Pizza is.
Everybody's asked that question, but the bigger question is, where is this Sift place?
Oh, we have the America's Best Baker, Adam. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so Sift has taken the #1 spot. We ran out of brochures. Ken and I went down on a Saturday morning to Adam's place and said, we need brochures. Yeah. So the girls gave me a bunch. And the next day, there was a big box in the chamber office.
Aww,
so we're having fun and we're enjoying Mystic from a whole different point of view.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
So, speaking of Mystic, what is going on?
What is going on? Well, we have, if you haven't heard about the Business Before Hours programs and the Business After Hours programs for all the networking opportunities for all the people in Mystic, we do have on Tuesday, August 14th, MW Coastal at the Noank Shipyard is having a business after hours. Starts at 5:30. Meet some of your colleagues, meet some of your friends, make some new friends, make a few purchases. They have lots of very interesting coastal type items from furniture to keychains, everything.
And when is that again? Just want to get that.
August 14th.
Okay.
It's a Tuesday evening.
Where's it at?
So the Noank shop, M&W Coastal.
Okay, great.
So that's coming up. But the big event this weekend, the big event this weekend, which is where we started with the Chamber, is MOAF, better known as the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival. And it will be Saturday and Sunday, August 11 and 12, from 10 in the morning till 6, and then 10 in the morning till 5 on Sunday.
Fantastic.
And we will have the best weather ever. That's the prediction right now.
Okay, Joanne. You know, I've done this for 15 years. I actually resigned just a couple of years ago, so I still have a lot of great memories of the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival. And every year, coming up to it, we do all the prayers we can to make sure that the weather is good. But this evening, I am proud to introduce a very good friend to the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival, to Mystic, to myself, and Joanne. We have one of our favorite artists, and we have Brett Swanson here this evening.
Thank you so much.
Well, what an introduction. I mean,
that was awesome.
Just really, I was trying to get everything out, and Brett, welcome to Mystic Matters. Just a little story, and I'm going to turn it over to Joanne because she has so many questions. I just want to give our history. There he is, Brett, right there, with Brett and myself. Brett is currently still working with the post office.
Yes, I am. 25 years now.
25 years. Mm-hmm. And so you've been at the Outdoor Art Festival for how long?
This will be my 12th year.
So this is your 12th year. So previous to that, Brett used to deliver mail to my store, Majestic Jewelers in the Old Mystic Village, when we were there. And he had a secret that I didn't know about. And one day I had a beautiful gallery attached to my jewelry store, and he was looking around delivering mail, and I said, Brett, what's going on? He says, well, I'm an artist. I said, you're an artist? Well, I have an art gallery. Brought in his items, and I said, Brett, you have a talent here. What are you doing with this? And it took years and years and years to convince him, also convince his wife, that this was part of his passion. And he has been one of our most successful artists, local artists, and just a great friend to the community. Thank you so much.
And the surprise for me is we've known each other for as many years as you've been doing the Arts Festival, because Ken and I have been the street captains for Home Street, and I was under the impression you were doing this full time. So to have such a successful art-related career as a second career,
thank you,
with a very busy day job.
Yes, very busy.
That's even more amazing to me.
Thank you so much.
So
it's tough, but it's my passion. So.
Well, I want to know how you got started.
Well, I've always been drawing since I was a young kid. Back in these, I'm going to date myself now, early 70s, I was into comic books and TV shows at that time. So I knew at a young age I always wanted to do something in the comic world. Mm-hmm. And then I remember in 1976 or so, I remember going to a convenience store and seeing comic books for the first time. And when I saw that, I was like, this is what I want to do. I knew at that point, this is what I wanted to do. And I just wanted to draw my own comics. You know, if somebody wants to pay me to draw anything else, that's fine. But I've always wanted to do my own stuff. So I went to school for a long time, and I learned from the masters. And then I got a job at the post office to pay the bills.
Sure. And to support a family.
And to support a family, because as we all know, sometimes art doesn't really necessarily pay all the bills. But I do have a good job, and that allows me to do my cartoon work and my other artwork on the side. So that's what I do. And each year it gets bigger and bigger.
It does get bigger and bigger because when we see you setting up your booth, and you're very independent, and it's amazing to me. You take your time. You both know what you're doing. You're not in a rush where there's so many little crises around on our street.
Oh boy, we know crises. We know crises.
We know that you will be fine. Yes. But one of the things that I'm so curious about, I know about the comic part of it. Your colors are amazing to me.
Thank you.
And I think that is one draw for people who don't know you, and people who don't know your work and know what your particular passion is. It's the colors that draw me. I always love stopping there and looking.
Thank you.
So beside the color, I've also noticed that the audience that you have is so varied in age.
Yes.
So between the color and the audience, can you tell me what attracts younger people or older people?
I would say it's the bright colors. I'm always doing something, whether it's my acrylics or my cartoon work. I'm always using bright colors because I want it to pop. I want when like you go into my tent, I want your eye to be drawn right to it. That's why I use the black walls, and then with the bright colors on top of it, you're automatically drawn in to that tent. And you can see my acrylic work, which I call acrylic fusion, which is just basically acrylic paints. But I also have my cartoon work because that's my real passion. So you can see some of that I do in book form with inks and dyes, but then I also do it in acrylics as well.
Well, you know what? I think this is a great time to cue in on Frank. We've got some of your images that you right there. So
right there.
We've got that right behind us. But
Yes.
tell us with this particular image. Okay, you sit down one day. What is this? What's the name of this?
The name of it is Sun Spot. So it's basically like a sun with a little bit of a dark spot on it. That's all done with acrylic paints. That's reds, yellows, and oranges. It's a style I developed when I went to school back in the 90s that I call acrylic fusion. So basically I will blend acrylic paints until I can't blend it anymore, and it's just basically that done with a knife.
Huh?
It's all done with a knife, yes.
A knife.
Yep. A lot of practice, but yep.
Okay,
Well,
Joanne.
A lot of the stuff that you'll see is all done with that, too.
Not being an artist myself,
Yep.
what do you do with a knife?
I blend the paint. So what I'll do is on a piece like this, I will tape off the square so that's all taped off, and then I'll paint the golds and the oranges. And I just use that with a regular palette knife. So I'll blend it and I'll blend it and I'll blend it till it gets the desired effect that I like. And then once that's dried, I'll tape off the gold and I'll paint the red square.
Wow.
And I do it the same way. A lot of people think that's done with a brush, but it's not.
That's way too much talent for me, Joanne.
Oh, I know. I know. I could do this with a brush,
I couldn't do
but
any
with
of
It's
this.
a lot
palette
of
knife,
experience, yes.
I mean, I know what a palette knife is, but far beyond my capabilities.
Practice.
Okay,
And there's something to be said for the passion for that practice.
That's true
Absolutely.
too.
Next,
That's true
Frank.
too. This is a piece I called Rip Tide, which is a beach scene, but I wanted to do it kind of like abstract because a lot of artists at the show are very good, but they do really nice stuff. But I wanted mine to stand out, so I decided to go abstract and paint it all with a knife, just like the last piece.
Beautiful.
So I did. So you can see the reds are the sky, the beach is the black. You can see the water.
The water in there,
and the
waves.
white there is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
waves.
yeah.
The spray, absolutely.
see
So
it.
I just wanted to go like 360 and do something totally different that nobody's ever seen before. And that's another reason why a lot of people like coming to my tent, because they've never seen this stuff.
Right.
Oh, your tent. It stands out, right?
Right. Oh, that it always stands out.
Thank
It
you.
always stands out. And again, I mentioned the crowds. I mean, the kids love coming, and I've seen lots of kids pulling their. As people are walking by and
Yes.
admiring different kinds of art, you always see the 10, 11, 12-year-olds pulling their parents. Come back here. You got to see this. And they're not always just looking at the comic books.
That's true.
They're looking at the other bright colors and saying, "Wow." He takes that person, puts it in the other large piece of artwork, and then takes the person away from it. I've heard some of the funny comments
Yeah.
from the kids.
I've had a lot of excitement in that tent, and
Yes,
it's just wonderful.
Yes.
it is. It's
Yep.
All right, let's
a good
get on
place
to
to
scroll.
be.
There we have, okay,
Now
your
this
rendition.
one, yes, this is something I just did within the last year or two. I started doing flags. I've had
Okay.
a lot of requests to do flags. So I decided to do the flags in the same style that I do acrylics here. So that's all done the same way with a knife. The stars were done with a brush, obviously, because that would be too small to do with a knife.
Right, right.
But the rest is done the same way with just the knife, and I just blend it. I've had a lot of requests. I've done this flag, I've done the Union Jack, I've done the Jamaican flag, and I've just recently started getting into nautical flags. A lot of people have
great.
started asking me to do those. So there might be a surprise at Mystic.
Ooh, come down this weekend. We're not going to say anything, but it's going to be a surprise.
It's going to be a surprise.
And it will
Okay.
be Home Street.
Yes,
Don't
Home Street.
forget
Oh, yeah,
Home
we got it.
Street.
What's your booth number?
I believe it's 405.
Okay, good.
It's right in front of Malev's.
Yeah, it's very easy to find. Trust me. Okay,
Very
we'll
easy.
scroll on. His
now-
passion.
Now
Now we're going
we
to
get
start going
yeah.
into my cartoon work. This was something I did last year, loosely based on my dog. I have a brand new dog named Dude.
Dude.
And he's a cute little dog, but he's got this shape on his head. So it's the diamond dog because it's in the shape like that. So I took that and I decided to make a really wild cartoons book, but I wanted to do it in paint form. So this is all done in acrylics.
That's unbelievable.
And that, of course, is done with a brush, except for the background. The background I would do the same way with a knife, but for the cartoon itself, I would use a brush. So that's just done with acrylic paints. And that is a series of 5. I will have that at the show as well, but this was the first page.
The first page, okay.
I just thought would be cool. It's almost like if you were to walk into a gallery, you would see these on the wall.
Now, where is your studio?
My studio is at my house,
Okay.
actually. I have a giant studio above my garage.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
And the name of your studio?
Sick Puppy Studios.
Okay,
And
we need to talk about that.
There,
Yes.
there has to be a history
A lot
there.
of people
There
ask me
has to
that,
be.
yes. When I first started doing my cartoon work and I was trying to branch out, it's always good to have a name. You need something that's going to catch people, that's going to be like, oh, wow, this is great. So at the time, I had 3 dogs, and you know how dogs are. They're great dogs, but sometimes they do things, they get into stuff, you know. So some of my dogs like to eat things, and I was always like, wow, you're one sick puppy. So the
You
name,
say that about dogs, I say that about people.
well, that's true too. So that name kind of stuck, and I was like, sick puppy. And then I was like, well, why not just name my art business Sick Puppy Studios? And that way, a lot of people remember it. One of my dogs is the logo, so he always has his face there. So a lot of people walk by and they go, oh, what a cute, cute dog. And we start talking about artwork and dogs and stuff like that. So it's always, you remember the name.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's good name
Right.
branding.
You know, Brett, I've known you a long time, and I know your wife.
Yes.
Okay, so I think part of this, you know, the passion to do this type of thing, it's a family affair.
It is.
And I have seen her support you.
Yes. It's
Over-
very time consuming.
Right. And she's still part of it. It really is your dream.
It is.
So you've got just a wonderful relationship there.
She does help me with the tent, which is a big
yes.
key.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it by myself. But she also helps me a little bit with the computer aspect of my cartoon work. When
Really?
we'll see the books, when I get the books all together, she helps me put them in a computer format so I can send to the printer. So I do all the artwork by hand, and then she gets it all ready to send to the printer via computer. So she's doing a little stuff on the computer stuff. And she also runs my website and my Instagram and like all of the media sites, because
Wow.
I just don't have time.
So you have a social media expert within the household.
Well, she's learning. It's a learning experience, you know, but after so many years now, she's become really good at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, the studio that you have, I imagine this is one of these go-to places where no matter what kind of day you've had, outside of the studio, it's a really good place to be. Is it a studio that's open to the public?
Not at the moment. It's a little chaotic because I just moved into my new place 4 years ago, but I really haven't had time to put things away. So a lot of my stuff is still in boxes because I've been so busy with my artwork and my day job that it's getting there. So eventually, yes, it will be open. You know.
Okay.
So I think about sort of, oh, there we go. This is the other,
Oh.
okay, tell us about
That
this. This is the,
Yep, that's another one of my comic books called The Sentinel. It is America's Military Man of Might, and that's all done with acrylic paints as well. That was another one of my books that I did in inks and dyes, but I thought it would look really sharp in acrylic paints, so I did 6 of them. Again, like if you walked into a gallery, you'd see them all up on the walls.
so basically, Brett, you're doing series.
I do series.
You do series,
I do
okay.
series.
So that
I
we,
do series.
I mean, just to get out there
Yep.
to the public, that's
so it's
where
like a small book. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. When I do these, yeah.
it's a whole series.
It's a whole series, yep. I do have a book out of him. He's popular. A lot of people like it. I'm currently in the planning stages on book 2, but I've been working on the kid books, which has been really good for me. That's had to take a backseat a little
yeah.
bit.
But that's something into the future that
Absolutely.
you're going to do.
So you have a
Absolutely.
number of layers to your artwork.
Yes.
And your audience is everyone.
I have fans from ages 8 to 80. Yes, absolutely. And even younger.
That's fantastic. I mean, what
Even
artist has that? You know what
younger.
I mean? So you really...
Even in my day job, I have a couple kids on my route who love my books, and they keep asking me, when is the next one going to be out? When's the next one going to be out?
Well,
So I
yeah.
keep telling them. I had one, it's really funny. I had one kid ask me since March, and he keeps asking me, and I say, August. And he's like, August? And I said, August will be here before you know it. And so
Yeah.
each, like,
week.
Every,
exactly, yeah.
I'd say probably every 2 to 3 weeks, he comes out of his house and he asks me, is it done yet? And I'm like, no, but soon. So I just saw him last week, and I said, it'll be ready. I said, it's off to the printer. It'll be ready in August.
So we have a last image. I think
we have
two more images.
More.
So tell us about this.
This is another one of my
images. This is black and white.
This is black and white.
Okay.
I wanted to show that I also do it in color form, which is great, but I also like doing artwork in black and white, which is traditional. So this was all just done with inks.
Okay.
That was the cover that I used for the first book. And it's like...
Also part of the series.
Also part of...
Yeah.
Yes. And it's my love and my respect to the books that I grew up with. So
I can see that.
So it's my style, but I added some of the artists that I grew up with that I just absolutely admired.
Well, that's the fusion, I think.
It's kind of the fusion. I took little bits of things that I really like, that I think are awesome, and I just put it together. So this was kind of like one of those books that I read as a kid in 1976 that would just practically leap off the stand and say, buy me. So that's what I kind of wanted to convey.
And then your last
last image.
All right, this is the one. Here it is.
Here it is. This is the brand new, long-awaited book. This is Power Kid number 11, even though it says 326 on there. I started at 316 because I wanted you to think the book's been around a long time. When I first started, I didn't realize how far this would go. So after the first 5 issues or something, I knew I was onto something big. And it was too late to go back to number 1. So I just kept going upwards. Eventually, what I might do at some point is maybe go backwards and say, hey, here's book 1, here's book 10.
Right.
Whatever.
But for the collectors,
yes,
this is very important.
Yes. This is the cover image of the brand new book. This one is a double-sized issue. Usually my books run 24 pages. This one's 32. And it's all written, drawn, inked, and colored by myself.
32.
32 pages. This one's a double-sized issue. It's the new look of my book. I decided to change
including
the
verbiage
look about it.
And everything. This is really right from the heart.
Yes, absolutely.
Right from the soul. Right from the hand.
Absolutely. And this is the kind of stuff that I do for kids. So it's about the main guy, Power Kid. He's like 9 years old. In the 4th grade, on a school field trip, he finds a glowing rock that gives him superpowers. So he's not in school, he's fighting crime, and he has his little friends with him. And in the last 3 or 4 books, I've been building towards something because he's building a team. So he's been asking other kids to join him, and some are saying yes, and some are saying no. But there's one surprise in this book. There's a surprise member that joins the team. I'm not going to say it, but it's really awesome. It's awesome. It just takes me back to, like I said, when I was a kid and seeing all those books that made me excited. So that's the kind of magic that I'm trying to bring back.
Well, the big question that I have for you is your artwork is a contrast in and of itself. So where do you get all these ideas? I know you mentioned comics as a child, but when it comes to writing and doing the art and taking care of the business aspect, I mean, the ideas are like right here, and then they explode.
Oh, they certainly do.
I've always had a ton of ideas. I've always wanted to make my own stories, my own books. And then there's sometimes when I'll start a book like this one, it'll change by the time the book's over. I'll say, oh, well, I don't like this. I'm going to add this into it. So it's a learning process. It takes time. Like this book took me, all my free time took me about 3 months solid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually had to take some time off of work to finish it.
Start to finish. So let's talk about, I mean, we've got the 24 pages, we've got the 32 pages. Start to finish, and I know you're an artist and you have that creativity, but on a book, what's the length of time?
If I had a lot of time, I could probably crank out a book in about 2 months, but with my day job and other things in life, this one took me, I started it in March and I just finished it last week. So I'd say it probably took me about a good 4 months on this one. Because it was a longer issue. It took, it was 8 extra pages, but from start to finish, I have the idea and then I sketch it out, then I draw it, then I ink it, then I color it, and then I publish it.
But that is
there's
still amazing
many layers
to do it in that
There's many layers, and most of the comic books are done by groups. So like one guy does the writing, one guy does the drawing, one guy does the inking, one guy does the coloring. I do it all myself. So that's why it's so time consuming.
That is amazing, Brett Swanson. That is amazing that you put this much effort into this, and the images and the writing and everything just all comes together. I want to know about these paintings and how long it takes you
the paintings in the background in various stages probably took me a couple days.
Oh dear!
Because that was the same thing as the stuff that I just showed you, where I would actually have to use tape. So I would do like the one to the right, left, with the red, green, and blue. I'd have to do them individually, like do all the red at once, then do all the green at once, then do all the blue at once. The one behind me is the same thing. That probably took me maybe 2 days.
I'm sure it would take me that long to find the proper palette knife.
Well, I think about the work that you've done and where you have come from, 12, 13 years ago. Very proud of you, Brett.
Thank you. My style has grown.
Your style, and I can see it.
Thank you. That's what a lot of folks say.
Yes.
When they see the first book to the brand new book, they're like, wow, your style has completely changed. It's gotten better. And I'm like, well, thank you. It's a learning experience.
And from the first time we saw your booth to what I expect to see this coming weekend,
yes,
the booth has grown tremendously, the audience has grown tremendously, and you have to be so proud. You and your family have to be so proud of all that you've accomplished together.
Thank you.
You mean you and Ken are back on the street again?
We're on the street again.
Okay, yeah, okay. So basically captains and streetwalkers.
5:30 in the morning, but you usually beat us.
I'm there at 6 o'clock on the dot. I'm there at 6 o'clock on the dot because I want to get a good spot to park.
Yes. It is a lot for our artists as they bring in all their artwork, and a lot of this is costing them money, is their livelihood and setting it up. The 5:30 in the morning, yes, I've been there. Actually, 5 o'clock it starts for some of us that have done this to get the coffee and things ready for the volunteers.
The paperwork.
And again, we thank you and Ken. We do have a few more minutes, though. What is the future, Brett? Where is, obviously the postal office. What is the future for Brett Swanson?
I could retire in a few years, so I'm looking forward to that. Not maybe more than a few years, but definitely less than 10. And I'm hoping to pursue this full time. I've always wanted to just do my own comics and just be successful at it. I don't want to be, it'd be cool if I was famous, but I would just like to be successful and make a good living at it, and just get my books out there and just make the fans happy. You know.
Keep in mind that you are famous. And
locally, yes, I am. I get a lot of people who say that.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people who say that.
And you don't know about that young child in the schoolyard or at summer camp who brings that book with them, and all their friends look at it.
It's funny that you just said that. A couple months ago, I went to Northeast Academy, and they had a whole week of artists, all different kind of artists. And they asked me to come in and teach kids how to make comic books. So I did that for one day, and I heard that that was the kids' favorite class.
Yeah, well, you're also your artwork and you and your family are mentoring, and you're showing this community.
Trying. I'm getting out there. A lot of people have asked me to go to schools now and actually show kids how to make their own comic books. And I'm just telling them what I was taught by the masters. The artists that I grew up with. I went to school back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I was taught by Joe Kubert. He had his own school called the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon Graphics. He was one of the golden age artists back in the 40s. So this guy's, he's done it all,
Done it all.
So he actually, in late 70s, he had his own school, and he does still. So a lot of famous artists now have gone to that school.
That's
and
great.
I'm just trying to impart the knowledge I was given to give it on to the next generation.
And keep in mind, for those young people, you are the artist, and you are the one that they can touch.
That's true. That's true.
So we're going to wrap it up here a little bit. We just want to make sure it's this weekend. Joanne, tell them the dates again and the time.
It is Saturday, August 11, Sunday, August 12. On Saturday, 10 to 6. On Sunday, 10 to 5.
Joanne Levy, thank you so much for co-hosting.
You are welcome.
And please come back. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you.
And Brett, I wish you a very, very successful weekend.
Thank you so much.
Be down there to say hello. And please come down and support. It's a great weekend. You'll have fun. You'll see all your friends. You'll see all the artists. And, shop the shops. Go into those restaurants. Go local. Shop local. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening.